Hello everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of Sports News. It's your host Kyle Alexander here. I'm just kidding. But you may be wondering why I'm wearing this hat. I'm also wearing a Raven shirt in case you didn't know. But first of all, I'd like to say I'm back and I apologize for being gone so long. But I owe it to you guys for the absence, so I'm going to try to get out as many videos as possible over the next couple of days or weeks, or next couple of days, maybe this week and next week. But yeah, and also maybe wonder why I'm wearing a hat, this cowboy hat. It's because I'm about to take my horse to the Old Town Road. No, but the real reason I'm wearing this hat is because the NFL draft is tomorrow in Nashville. So I was like, let me try a little something new. So without further ado, tonight this will be my third and final mock draft before tomorrow. So don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let's hop right into it. All right, the Cardinals are up on the clock with the first pick, and this is what's been going. This has been like the biggest question: are the Cardinals going to take Kyler Murray or Nick Bosa? Now, my first two ones, I had them taking Nick Bosa, and I kept going back and forth. I was like, but after the second one, I was like, I'm kind of going back and forth. Are they taking Murray? Because I saw something saying they were going to, and now, like, a couple days ago, I was like, Kyler Murray was just a smoke screen, or like their interest is dropping. So that's why I just came to a conclusion in my head. I stuck with my original choice. I have the Cardinals taking Nick Bosa. Now, there are a lot of people saying that like the Nick Bosa is not that type of scheme fit, or he's not a scheme fit, and like the Cardinals might take Quentin Williams. Maybe they could, but I think the Cardinals are still going to take Nick Bosa. He's a good edge rusher, great talent, and I mean they have Chandler Jones and signed Terrell Suggs to a 1-year deal. So you got those two mentors, and then after Terrell Suggs is gone, who you gonna have? Nick Bosa. All right, the second pick is the San Francisco 49ers. So it's the 49ers. Now the 49ers, they've had a pretty good offseason. They got D Ford in the trade, signed Kawan Alexander. Then they signed Tevin Coleman, so they got that three-headed beast at running back, and then upgraded their pass rush and their front seven with Kawan Alexander to take over the middle and D Ford to help upgrade the pass rush. But I still think they're gonna get some help on the D line as they take Quentin Williams from Alabama. Williams that's a couple people are saying that Bama might take him because Williams is a 3-4 player, but I still think they're going to take Bosa, and Williams is able to fall to the 49ers. And the 49ers have expressed interest in Williams. And honestly, I think this would be a good fit for the 49ers. So that's my take on it. So originally I had them taking Josh Allen, but they said, nope, I'm taking Quentin Williams now. Now, Cardinals could get Bosa, but if the Cardinals could get Murray, and then 49ers could get Bosa, but I don't think that's going to happen. Now, the third pick, I said I didn't like doing trades, or I was going to do trades in my mock drafts, but this one, I had to do it. I had to do it for this one. So this one, my mock trade is that the Redskins trade their 15th overall pick this year, or the 15th overall pick, and their second round pick from this year to the New York Jets for the Jets' third overall pick, because the Jets were looking forward to trading down, and I just saw something saying the Redskins were trying to look to trade into the top 5. So with that being said, the Redskins trade in the 15th pick for the third pick, and this one they get their quarterback of the future and make some Giants fans mad as they select Dwayne Haskins from the Ohio State. In case there are any Buckeye fans watching. But Haskins He's a great quarterback. Some people have him. Some believe he's the best quarterback in the class. I personally think it's Murray, but if we're talking about who's better, more NFL potential wise, I would give it to Haskins. Haskins, he's not very mobile. He's not like a fast guy on his feet, but he has the arm talent. He has the accuracy, and he can make some good reads. So that's why, and even though he's only had this 1 year of experience, I still think if Washington trade up for him, that he can take over and fix Washington's quarterback situation. All right, next up, the Oakland Raiders. I was kind of confused. I didn't know what to do with this one. I was going back and forth because the Raiders, something came out saying Gruden loved Kyler Murray, not Derek Carr, and then something came out saying the Jets, not the Jets, the Raiders were going to make a surprise pick. Now I was like, all right, I know what they're gonna do. They're not going to get Kyler Murray because I have them taking Ed Oliver, the defensive tackle from Houston. Now, they have shown some interest in Ed Oliver, and they do like him a lot. And Ed Oliver, he can play D tackle, or maybe he could play defensive end with his size. Maybe work on that skill set a little bit. But that's why he reminds me of Aaron Donald, because he's like that more undersized defensive tackle, but he can still be an impact. So I believe Oakland will upgrade the D-line and get Oliver, and that will be the surprise pick. All right, with the 5th overall pick, I finally changed this. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Devin White, the middle linebacker from LSU. Now, originally I had them taking Greedy Williams in my very first mock draft, because I was like, they need secondary help. And I saw my draft had them taking Josh Jacobs or Devin White. I was like, no, this is dumb. But now, after they lost Kwan Alexander to the 49ers, that has become a position of need. So now I have them taking the best linebacker in the class, and Devin White. All right, with the 6th pick, we have the New York Giants. Now, the Giants, after losing their so-called franchise quarterback in Dwayne Haskins, they still find another one. I have them taking Kyler. Nope. Nah, I don't have them taking Kyler Murray. I have the Giants with the 6th overall pick taking, this is a surprise, Daniel Jones, the quarterback from Duke. Now, you're probably thinking, Kyle, what are you thinking? They have Kyler Murray, even Drew Lock, or shoot, they could even have Josh Allen here. But no, I have the Giants taking them. Now something just came out. Now, Bleacher Report just reported that many believe the Giants are gonna take Daniel Jones, and that Dave Gettleman said that Daniel Jones is our guy. I don't know. These are draft rumors, so about draft rumors, you can't really believe anything they're saying. But I mean, they worked out with them. The Giants have had visits with Dwayne Haskins, Murray, and Daniel Jones. But I just thought with that coming out, I was like, it makes sense now. I think the Giants are gonna get Daniel Jones. He sit behind Eli for maybe sit behind Eli for a year, and even be like Lamar Jackson, like where Eli started the first half, and then put Daniel Jones in if Eli's not doing good. But as I'm taking Daniel Jones, and they could take Josh Allen, but word on the street is Dolphins are looking at a quarterback for 13, and they might be taking they said they were looking at Dwayne Haskins, which I don't think that's going to happen. Dwayne Haskins, Drew Lock, or Daniel Jones. So the Giants had this and the 17th pick, and the Giants said, no, we don't want the Dolphins to take him because that's our guy. So they take Daniel Jones with the 6th pick. Next up, I have the Jaguars, and I have them taking Cody Ford, the offensive tackle from Oklahoma. Cody Ford is a good lineman, and they just signed Nick Foles to that huge contract, and he's going to need some protection. Jacksonville, that's a great way to upgrade their O-line. And I know what you're probably thinking they should go like tight end or receiver. excuse me, but they could find they have the 7th pick in the draft, so I'm pretty sure they could definitely find a receiver in the 2nd round, or not even that, maybe some free agents. I don't know, because receivers you can find. It's easier to find receivers, or there are like a lot of more like receivers that like serviceable receivers. And Cody Ford is too good of an offensive lineman talent to pass up on. So Jaguars protect their quarterback. With the 8th pick, I have the Detroit Lions, and I have the Lions after losing Ziggy Ansah, or not. They didn't re-sign Ziggy Ansah, who had a visit with the Ravens today. Wink, wink. Hope the Ravens get him. But after not re-signing him, they move on and select Josh Allen, the edge rusher from Kentucky. Josh Allen, he's arguably up there for best edge rusher in the draft. I might think, honestly, I think he is. I think he's better than Nick Bosa, because I've heard of Allen last year, and then I saw some of his highlights. I was like, he's pretty good. Then he balled out this year. I was like, oh yeah, Josh Allen is definitely one of the top edge rushers. He might be one of the best edge rushing prospects that we may have seen in a while. And I just got praise for him. And Detroit is nothing but fortunate to have him fall to number 8, because Detroit needs an edge rusher, and they said, thank you, Lord, he's here. So they find their new edge rusher with Josh Allen. And as we move on to the 9th pick, I have the Buffalo Bills. Some people think tight end. After the loss, they did lose Charles Clay, or they did release him. Some people think O-line, you gotta protect your franchise quarterback. That's the quarterback of the future, right? But no, I don't think so. I have the Bills taking DK Metcalf, the freakish wide receiver from Ole Miss. Now, there's a couple reasons for this. One, Buffalo was 31st in passing yards per game last year. It was 174.6 yards per game. Maybe some of it was the quarterback, some of it was the receivers. I say it's kind of 50-50, maybe even the O-line. But, yeah, also, they just don't really have any receivers. They had Kelvin Benjamin. That didn't work out, so they got rid of him. They got Zay Jones. I know that. And they just signed Cole Beasley, and they signed John Brown. But none of those are number 1 receivers. So Buffalo is going to take the first receiver off the board at number 9 with DK Metcalf. Next up with the 10th pick, I have the Broncos taking another Dolphins target as they take Drew Lock from Missouri. Drew Lock is a great quarterback. I'm a fan of Drew Lock. He has accuracy. He has the arm talent and the accuracy. And honestly, I think if he, whatever team he goes to, he could turn them into a threat. You know, like he could turn that offense around. But the Broncos need a quarterback, or the Broncos, yeah, they need a quarterback for the future. Even though they just traded for Flacco, Flacco is not a future franchise quarterback. He's not a quarterback that you can roll for like the future. He could be there for like maybe 3 years, maybe even 4. But I think the Broncos are just gonna play it safe, get Drew Lock, and have him and Flacco on the roster. Next up, I have the Cincinnati Bengals, and I have them selecting Jawan Taylor, the offensive tackle from Florida. They need some O-line help, and this is one of the best of it. I think this would be the best available lineman, or him or Jonah Williams. But I think they're going to take Jawan Taylor, because Jawan Taylor, I think he's great size, and he has some strength. And Jawan Taylor, he's one of the best linemen in the draft. So, yeah, Bengals build up that O-line again. Next up, I have the Green Bay Packers with the 12th overall pick. I have the Packers selecting the first tight end. Thought I had to sneeze. Selecting the first tight end, Noah Fant from Iowa. A lot of people have Green Bay taking T.J. Hawkinson at this point, at this pick, but personally, I think Fant is a better tight end, and Fant, he's got some size, he's a good receiving tight end, and he can block too. I think Hawkinson could be a better blocker, or he is a better blocker. But Fant, he's a good tight end, and Green Bay could use one since Jimmy Graham is good, but Jimmy Graham is old, or he's in his 30s, and yeah, they're getting Aaron Rodgers another weapon another young weapon, and a red zone threat in Noah Fant. Next up, with the 13th overall pick, I have the Miami Dolphins selecting Kyler Murray, the quarterback from Oklahoma. Now you're probably thinking, how did Kyler fall this far? Now, I don't believe the Cardinals are going to draft him. And then I just saw something yesterday. It was a conference where Cliff Kingsbury just had like high praise for Kyler Murray. He said he had the arm talent. He's a great guy, and he said he can make the good reads. He said he improved later on in the season, and he said there's a reason he was selected in the top 10. Now, that's why the Cardinals are going to take Nick Bosa. They're not going to get rid of Josh Allen like that. I don't believe the Giants are. I believe the Giants would prefer Haskins over Murray if they had the chance. And the Redskins want Haskins. The Redskins might be interested in Haskins. So that's why I have Kyler Murray falling to the Dolphins. And the Dolphins could be. I would be fortunate if I was the Dolphins, or not fortunate. I used that word wrong. If I was the Dolphins, I would be somewhat excited that Kyler Murray fell to me, cause yeah, you might have wanted a Daniel Jones or a Drew Lock, and Murray's still not sure how Murray will do at the next level, but I think Murray's gonna excel at the next level. If you look at the past quarterbacks that have the quarterbacks that they all said were short or undersized, Baker Mayfield. Some people question his size, and he's 6'1". I was like, he's not really that small, but he's 6'1". You saw, boom, Rookie of the Year candidate, and now could take Cleveland to the playoffs. Russell Wilson. People say he was too small, he was undersized. Boom. 2 Super Bowl appearances in first 3 years. He won actually won one of them. Could have won 2 if they ran the ball, but we're not going to discuss that. Drew Brees, arguably a Hall of Fame quarterback, or not arguably, he is a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Super Bowl champion. And he's all-time passing yard leader, and people say he was too small. And also joined the very, very, very exclusive club of players to have beaten all 32 teams. So, yeah, and even Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie may not have been the best quarterback, but he was definitely a good quarterback. He definitely defied the odds. So that's what I believe. Kyler Murray is definitely gonna excel at the next level, and put him in a Miami system. I think it could work out. Next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons picking at 14th, and I have the Falcons selecting Christian Wilkins, the defensive tackle from Clemson. The Falcons need a running mate in the inside on the interior D-line with Grady Jarrett. And I lost out on Ed Oliver, so get the second best player, Christian Wilkins. Next up, part of the mock trade, this is the Redskins picking at 15, but in my draft I had the mock trade, so the Jets are picking at 15 in this draft, and I have them taking Montez Sweat, the edge from Mississippi State. After trading down and losing out on Josh Allen, they said, no, we can still get a good edge rusher here, and boom, they got Montez Sweat, who definitely he can be a good edge rusher, and that would definitely be. He'll definitely help to make an impact on the Jets defense. With the 16th pick, I have the Carolina Panthers selecting Deontay Thompson, safety from Alabama. They need another safety with Eric Berry and improve their secondary. After we saw rising star in Dante Jackson, and James Bradbury also had a pretty good season. So upgrade that safety position. Get Deontay Thompson. Learn from Eric Reed. Boom. Upgrade your safety or upgrade your secondary. Next up, we have the Giants with the pick that they acquired from the Cleveland Browns in the crazy Odell Beckham trade. That still shocks me that my Ravens have to face them twice a year. But at least my Eagles don't have to face them twice a year. So, yeah. So, the Giants, after losing out on Josh Allen also, I have the Giants selecting Cleveland Farrell, the defensive end from Clemson. He's definitely great edge rusher in this class. And I had him going to Oakland because Oakland needs an edge rusher. But after Oakland makes that surprise pick with Ed Oliver, Montez Sweat going to the Jets, the Giants are lucky and they're happy to have Cleveland Farrell fall to them. This kind of reminds me of Derwin James because a lot of people thought he would go higher, and then he ended up falling all the way like 17 to the Chargers. And we saw he's been pretty good this year. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings, who might have been the biggest disappointment this year, or one of the, I won't say but the Vikings with the 18th pick. I have them selecting Jonah Williams, the offensive tackle from Alabama. Now, the Vikings need some O-line help to help protect Kirk Cousins, and that was honestly like one of the only weak spots on that team. So I would, or maybe somewhere on defense, I don't know. But I say upgrade the O-line, protect Kirk Cousins, give him more time. Boom, get Jonah Williams. Definitely one of the best offensive linemen in this class. Definitely one of the top 3. With the 19th pick, I have another mock trade here. So, word on the street is Nelson Agholor is on the trade block. You know who has the 19th pick? The Tennessee Titans. You know who needs a receiver? The Tennessee Titans. Agholor, I don't know why the Eagles are doing this. This is making me upset. But the Agholor was able to produce. He definitely had his career high year in the Super Bowl run, and was a pretty good receiver last year. He's a pretty good slot receiver and pretty good deep threat. So in this trade, I have the Eagles trading Nelson Agholor and their 2019 first round pick, which was the 25th pick, for the Titans 2019 first round pick, which is the 19th pick. And with this pick, I have the Eagles selecting Marquise Brown, the wide receiver from Oklahoma. Now, I would like for the Eagles to get a middle linebacker, replace Jordan Hicks, or maybe even the safety. But if they're trading away Nelson Agholor, and they got Deshaun Jackson back, but he's like in his 30s. Even though he's still got some left in the tank, he's in his 30s. So he's not going to be around for that. He's not going to be, he's not a long-term option, basically. So now they trade up. They trade Agholor for some reason. I don't know why they're trading him, but they trade up, and then they get Marquise Brown. So basically, trade a receiver, get a receiver. They're basically replacing Agholor with Marquise Brown, who's a burner. He has the speed. He's definitely a deep threat, and he will give secondaries nightmares to come. With the 20th pick, the worst team in football, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I'm just saying that because I'm a Ravens fan, but Steelers suck anyway. But I have, with the 20th pick, the Kardashian Steelers. I have them selecting Greedy Williams, the cornerback from LSU. They need secondary help bad. Even like back when they went to the AFC Championship, when they still had Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, I was looking at their defense and I was like, Pittsburgh is actually like pretty good. They could have been one step away from winning the Super Bowl. I was like, they just need to get some secondary help. And I believe with this one, they are able to take the best corner off the board with Greedy Williams. Yeah, and Williams, he has some nice length to him. So, it'll be a huge steal for Pittsburgh. Next up, with the 21st pick, the Seattle Seahawks. I have them selecting Rashawn Gary, the defensive end from Michigan. Seattle, after trading, they signed Russell Wilson to a $140 million extension. Well deserved. But that kind of cost them a little. So now, Frank Clark wanted they had to get rid of Frank Clark because they couldn't pay him. So they put him on the trade block, or not trade. They put him on the franchise tag, and traded him to Kansas City. And that was a good pickup by Kansas City to get Frank Clark, since they got rid of D Ford. So they kind of replaced D Ford with Frank Clark, and they signed him to a $155.5 million extension. And yeah, so with that being said, the Seahawks find Clark's replacement in Rashawn Gary. Now, I know in my last mock draft I had him going 8th overall to the Lions, but I believe Rashawn Gary has a shoulder injury, and which might need surgery after this football season. But a lot of teams aren't really sure about that, and they might think that if something happened, he could end up having surgery this year. So that's why his stock is falling. But the Seahawks see his talent and his value, and they pick him up to replace Frank Clark. Next up, we have the best team in football, the Baltimore Ravens. Definitely not the best team. But we got at the 22nd pick, I have my Baltimore Ravens selecting N'Keal Harry, the wide receiver from Arizona State. This just makes perfect sense for the Ravens. Now, I did see some saying the Ravens have expressed interest or showing increasing interest in Josh Jacobs, but we got Mark Ingram. He's 29. He's good for a couple years. And right now, we need a number 1 receiver. Because we got Willie Snead. Because we got Seth Roberts, Willie Snead. I'm saying if we get Harry at 1, Seth Roberts on the other side, and then Snead in the slot, and then Mark Andrews at tight end, this would be a great pick. Plus, this gives somebody to grow with Lamar Jackson, so they can have that nice chemistry, and that can help Lamar Jackson on his throwing. Because N'Keal Harry is one of those receivers. He's like 6'4", I believe, but he's one of those receivers that's open even when he's covered. Like in a jump ball situation, if you had to choose between him or DK Metcalf, I'd rather throw it to N'Keal Harry in the jump ball situation over DK. So this would be a smart pickup for the Ravens. Next up, with the 23rd pick, I have the Houston Texans. Heard that. Houston Texans, partner. Got them taking Dalton Risner, that offensive tackle from Kansas State. But Dalton Risner, great. He's a great lineman. First of all, let me get this out of the way. Houston has the worst O-line in the NFL. Gave up over 60 sacks this year, which was the worst in the NFL. And that's why I think they lost the playoff game. Not that, but they had a first-time quarterback playing in the playoff game. But that was a good reason. That was also part of the reason the Colts were able to come out on top. Their offense, Andrew Luck was able to strike early on, but not even that. The Colts defense was able to get pressure on. They were able to hold DeAndre Hopkins a little, or they were able to help contain him when nobody else and none of the other receivers were stepping up, and they were also able to get pressure on Deshaun Watson. So I think if I'm Houston, I'll learn from that mistake and get Dalton Risner. He's a good offensive tackle. He's big, pretty big, he's got some size and he has some strength. And this pick just makes sense for Houston. Houston could go cornerback here, but I think the O-line should be more important because you got to protect your young quarterback. Next up, we have the Oakland Raiders back with the 24th pick. This is the pick they acquired with the Bears after the Khalil Mack trade. And with the 24th pick, I have the Oakland Raiders selecting Josh Jacobs, the running back from Alabama. This pick makes perfect sense. First running back off the board, or the best running back in the class. No team really needed a running back and before them. And I mean, Marshawn Lynch just retired, so this pick just makes perfect sense. Get Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs is pretty versatile too. So, boom, get an easy replacement right there. Next up, we have the Titans with my mock trade with the Eagles after they acquired Nelson Aguilar on draft night. So now, instead of getting a receiver, or they still get a receiver of some sorts, as I have the Titans with the 25th pick that they got from the Eagles. I have them selecting T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end from Iowa. This pick makes sense. Delaney Walker's 35, 36. He was injured last year, out for all of last season, and he is definitely close to retirement. So I say prepare. I say, hey, get a tight end. Thank you. They get a tight end to help replace him. And T.J. Hawkinson is arguably one of the best tight ends in this class. I think it's Noah Fant, but he's definitely top 3, or he's one of the top 2. And Hawkinson, he can block too. He's a pretty good blocker, and he could be a good red zone threat. So I think if Tennessee does that, and if they do get that Nelson Aguilar trade, if that Nelson Aguilar trade with them goes down, their offense will be set. Got Corey Davis, Nelson Aguilar, and then what was it, like Tawan Taylor, or no, Adam Humphries, because I forgot they signed Adam Humphries. So they got those 3, and then they got T.J. Hawkinson, along with Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis. It's a good offense. Next up, with the 26th pick, I have the Indianapolis Colts selecting Christian Wilkins, the defensive tackle from Clemson. Not Christian Wilkins, my bad. I made that same mistake. Alright, so I made an error. I had the Falcons selecting Christian Wilkins. So I meant to put the other D tackle. I have the Colts selecting Dexter Lawrence. Let me change that. Yeah, I have the Colts selecting Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle from Clemson. Now, his stock fell low because I believe there was a scandal with him he was suspended for using drugs or PEDs, and I believe that will hurt his stock. But the Colts they need an interior defensive lineman because their D-line only got like 30-something sacks. I believe, or their D-line, not 30, or their D-line, they didn't get that many, like 30-something sacks. Or the defense got 30-something sacks. And just got the defensive rookie of the year, Darius Leonard. And if they get him, they get Dexter Lawrence, it'll definitely help to strengthen their defense. Dexter Lawrence he's definitely a good defensive tackle. I believe he could be more of a run stopper, but I mean, if they can work on him on his pass rushing, that will definitely help to strengthen their defense. Next up, the Oakland Raiders are back on the clock with the 3rd and final first-round pick. And with this one, they got from the Cowboys with the Amari Cooper trade. And this one, I have them selecting Byron Murphy, the cornerback from Washington. Now, I personally just became a fan of Byron Murphy. He's a great corner. He's got the size. He kind of fits that big. He's not like big, but he's aggressive. Byron Murphy is aggressive. He's a hitter. He can make tackles. He makes hits. He's a big hitter, and he's a ball hawk. He can go after the ball. Definitely pick the ball off. He can what's his name? He can knock the ball loose. He can jar the ball loose on hits, make tackles, and yeah, I think he's definitely a top 3 corner. I might even take him over DeAndre Baker, and yeah, I think this would be a good move for the Raiders to pair up Byron Murphy with Gary Conley and Carl Joseph and LaMarcus Joyner. So Raiders strengthen their secondary by getting the big hitter from Washington. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, not the San Diego Chargers. I have the Chargers after Raekwon Davis is not in this draft. So the Chargers, they're like, we need another defensive tackle. They're like, you know what? I know who I have them taking. Jeffrey Simmons, the defensive tackle from Mississippi State. Now, Simmons was definitely one of the top defensive players in this draft. He's definitely one of the top defensive tackle talents, and I believe he still is. But his stock has caused him his injury, his ACL tear has caused his stock to fall. But the Chargers see his potential and his talent, and they take him with the 28th pick. Next up, we have the Seahawks back on the board, part of or courtesy of the Frank Clark trade. and that they got from the Kansas City Chiefs. And I have the Seahawks taking the Chiefs' original selection, DeAndre Baker, cornerback from Georgia. Now, some people may look at this and be like, "How they lost Earl Thomas, so they need a safety." They could take a safety at this pick. They could take a Nasir Adley or Jonathan Abrams or even Darnell Savage from Maryland. But Seattle usually does good with the next man up. Like that last year, their whole defense was based off of, like, the next man stepping up, and they have Tedrick Thompson, and I believe he can definitely step up and be a good safety. So with this pick, I have them, and but the Seahawks just lost Justin Coleman to the Lions, so I had them taking DeAndre Baker to pair him up with Shaquille Griffin. Baker is a good corner. Jim Thorpe Award for best corner. And what's his name? He's one of the top corners in this class. He's got some size. Some people were talking about his speed, but I think he could be good in Seattle. Seattle definitely looks at him and says he can definitely be our outside corner. And yeah, so Seattle starts to rebuild the Legion of Boom with DeAndre Baker. Next up, we got the Packers back on the board that trade from the Saints last year. And the Packers, they traded away Clinton Dix. So you know what? They said, let's take another SEC safety. So with the 30th pick, I have the Packers selecting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the safety from Florida. I'm a fan of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's a great safety. He has great IQ. He's definitely a ball hawk. He knows how to read the plays. He can do it all. And the Packers definitely get a great safety, great return on the getting rid of Clinton Dix. They get a great safety in return, and they add another piece to the young secondary. Next up, with the 31st pick in the draft, I have the Los Angeles Rams. That was the biggest disappointment, the Super Bowl. Sorry for any of you Rams fans, but a weakness that they've had this year was the linebacking spot. Their defense was pretty good, but they didn't have linebackers. Now, they did get Dante Fowler in the trade with the Jaguars, and Corey Littleton stepped up, but I think they still might look at a linebacker. So I'd have the Rams selecting Devin Bush, the middle linebacker from Michigan, with the 31st pick. They're probably looking, how did he fall this far? But I don't think there are definitely not a lot of teams that will look at a linebacker. Maybe the Broncos or maybe the Lions, because I saw the Lions said if they got him, they would put him at middle linebacker. But I just don't really. I see Devin Bush falling this far because I don't really see any other team needing a middle linebacker. So, I mean, maybe the Bengals take Bush, but yeah, I have the Rams taking Devin Bush, and Bush is definitely a good linebacker. And yeah, Rams definitely upgrade their linebacking spot or their linebacking core. Now with the last pick, the 32nd pick, the New England Patriots. I have them selecting. This is kind of weird, but I have them selecting A.J. Brown, the wide receiver from Ole Miss. Now a lot of people may look at New England and say they should draft a receiver. So they're probably like, how is this weird? It's weird because New England hasn't drafted a receiver in the first round in the last couple years. Or I can't remember how long it was, but they haven't. You get the gist. And they lost after they lost Chris Hogan, and they lost Chris Hogan, Malcolm Mitchell, even though he wasn't the greatest. They got Julian Edelman Julian Edelman is he's been a good receiver for New England, but he's not the outside receiver. He's the slot. And they just signed Demaryius Thomas, but he's not a long-term option. So what do? They get another, and their other outside receiver from Demaryius Thomas is Philip Dorsett. Now, Dorsett's been good with New England this year, or he's been all right, but I don't think Dorsett's not going to get it done. So I think they get AJ Brown here. He's definitely a great receiver, on the top, like a top receiver in this class, and excuse me, and they get an outside receiver who can like pair with Demaryius Thomas, and not even that. When Thomas and Edelman leaves, you'll have your number one receiver like right there and polished for years to come. So that is it for the mock draft. Now, after mock draft, I have some scenarios that I didn't mention that could go down. So scenario number one is that the Redskins don't trade up, and instead of getting Dwayne Haskins, they get Daniel Jones from Duke. That wouldn't be a bad pick, and they got Case Keenum, so he could maybe sit a year or even start now, and Jones could be a good quarterback. Next up, I have another scenario I could see happening is the Broncos take Devin Bush with the 10th pick. They need a middle linebacker after losing Todd Davis and Brandon Marshall. So they get Devin Bush. That would be great. Another thing is, Chris Harris has requested a trade, or he's demanded a trade. He said he either wants to be traded or he wants He wants to be paid $15 million a year. So the Broncos, without being able to pay him, or the Broncos not wanting to pay him, I have another scenario is if this could happen tomorrow, is the Broncos trade Chris Harris and a 2019 third round pick this year, for the Raiders' 2019 first round pick this year, the one from the Cowboys. And instead of the Raiders getting Byron Murphy, the Broncos get Byron Murphy to replace Chris Harris. This would be, if Oakland does accept that trade, that would be the smart move for Denver to take Byron Murphy if available, or DeAndre Baker. Basically get a corner there, because then they'll have Bradley Roby as a slot. So yeah, they won't really have any other corners. Next up, next two are both about Kyler Murray. So next one is that the Bengals could get Kyler Murray. This is Andy Dalton did not get his contract extended, or he didn't get an extension. So that may be a sign that the Bengals will be looking for a quarterback. But if the Bengals don't take him, then I could definitely see the Raiders taking him. Now, like I said, Gruden said he loves Kyler Murray and not Derek Carr, and that the Derek Carr's Oakland career may be coming to an end. If it does, I'll say the Raiders are talking about making the surprise pick. So if the Cardinals don't get Kyler Murray, the Raiders will if the Cardinals don't get Kyler Murray, the Raiders will definitely get Kyler Murray, or Raiders might get Kyler Murray and trade Derek Carr. Now, I get Derek Carr may not leave yet, but if they do get Kyler Murray, maybe they do trade Derek Carr. I say they might trade Derek Carr to Miami, because the Dolphins are looking at a quarterback. Now they're like, all right, Kyler Murray's gone, and then if the Giants do get Dwayne Haskins, like, oh well, the Giants got him, and they could still get Daniel Jones if they get Derek Carr in the trade, or get an edge rusher. But this is probably what I would do, get an edge rusher. But get an edge rusher if I do trade for Derek Carr if I'm the Dolphins. But I think Derek Carr Miami would be a good move. But I honestly think Oakland should stick with Derek Carr. But that's just my opinion. Next up. Next three were about Kyler Murray, because this one is that the Cardinals take Kyler Murray and that the Giants will trade for Josh Rosen. Yeah, honestly, I don't think the Cardinals should get Kyler Murray. I think they should stick with Rosen. So yeah, but if they do get Murray, maybe the Giants call up. Maybe the Giants are like, hey, Arizona, let's make a deal. Trade maybe like one of my draft picks, or not draft pick, like maybe like a third round draft pick, or a player like a third round draft pick for Josh Rosen. So, and then he's able to sit behind Eli and he develops, boom, franchise quarterback. Next up is still about the Giants, is that the Giants don't take a quarterback at all. Now, I've kind of seen this in a lot of mock drafts where they've had them taking the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman, or like just some type of form on defense, like some type of defensive player. which makes sense because I guess quarterback, they do need to look for a quarterback of the future, but that's not like their top need right now because they do need to upgrade that O line, and they need to upgrade the defense because they didn't trade it away. They traded away Olivier Vernon and and Damon Harrison early in the year, and Eli Apple, who's actually been better in New Orleans. But like other than that, who do you have on defense? Mate Janoris Jenkins, but he hasn't been playing that good since he got, or like since his first year there. Landon Collins, y'all didn't want to pay Landon Collins, so yeah, I gotta build that defense up. Next up is that I have the Jets. If they do trade down, so this is if the trade with the Redskins happen. Say the Jets do trade down to the 15th pick, they could get Greedy Williams. Jamal Adams was the one who took him on that back to campus thing. Now, necessarily that doesn't mean nothing, but the Jets do need a corner. They could look at a corner, pair him up with Jermaine Johnson. Not even that, but get two LSU guys at safety with Jamal Adams and Greedy Williams. I'm just saying, if it happened, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Next up, I have next up I have the Colts. Instead of taking Dexter Lawrence, the Colts take Hakeem Butler, the wide receiver from Iowa. They could use him. They could go receiver or D lineman, but if they go receiver, I wouldn't be shocked because they have T.Y. Hilton and who else? They have like Ryan Grant. Basically, they don't really have a number 2 receiver. So they take Hakeem Butler here. Could be a nightmare matchup with his size. Also have T.Y. Hilton, who's a good receiver, top 20. And yeah, if they pair him up, give Andrew Luck another weapon, that'll be great. That'll be a good move by the Colts. Next up, I have the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks could take a safety instead of a corner, but maybe instead of taking like a Jonathan Abrams, they take Darnell Savage. I think the Seahawks will definitely take Darnell Savage. Even if the Panthers don't take Deontay Thompson and like the Seahawks, there's no safeties taken before the Seahawks second pick and they're looking at a safety, I still think they might take Darnell Savage over Deontay Thompson or Jonathan Abrams or Nasir Adderley. And my reason for this, he has improved his stock has rise. That's what I was looking for. But the Seahawks make picks like this. Like last year we saw we all knew Seattle needed a running back, so I was like, or a lineman, but I was like, I knew they was gonna go after a running back. I was like, take Darius Geis, second best available running back there. Unfortunately, Darius Geis got injured this year, but the Seahawks took Rashad Penny. I was like, what? That was kind of weird. And Penny, he hasn't really been that good this year because Chris Carson's been outshining him. Penny's had some plays, but basically Seattle is used to making surprise picks or picking sleeper picks. They're used to taking, Seattle usually takes sleeper picks over the best available player. So if they take Darnell Savage, I wouldn't be too surprised to fill that Earl Thomas void. Next up, I think Rams could take a corner and take Trayvon Mullins, best available corner there, or him or that guy from Penn State, Amani, or I'm not going to butcher his last name, but Amani. But I think they could take Trayvon Mullins here. He's a good corner, and Seattle definitely could use, or not Seattle, the Rams could use a corner because Aqib Talib is in his 30s, or Aqib Talib is close to retiring, and Marcus Peters hasn't panned out this year. And then, not even that, they had that star-studded duo, but they both got hurt this year. So I think get some insurance, get Trayvon Mullins. That could be and also when Aqib Talib retires, they'll have their backup, or they'll have the replacement ready. Next up, the Patriots. I have the All right, this one is saying 3 players the Patriots could take over AJ Brown. The Patriots could take Irv Smith, tight end from Alabama. Irv Smith is a good tight end, nice pass catcher. Also, they could take Debo Samuel over AJ Brown. He's a good receiver, and the only thing I think might might hold him back is his injuries. But Debo Samuel, he could play outside or slot, so they have some versatility, some flexibility there. Or they could take, this is kind of a wild card, but the Patriots could take Brady's successor, the heir to the throne, and get Will Grier, quarterback from West Virginia. Now, I like Will Grier. Some people, the scandal when he was suspended when he got suspended from, what was it, like Florida State or something? No, Florida. That kind of lowered his stock. That may have lowered his stock, but I still think Will Grier is a good quarterback. He could definitely be a top quarterback in his league. He could definitely be a top quarterback for a team. Will Grier, he's got the clutch gene. He has the arm strength, the accuracy. He can make the right reads. He can make the right throws. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots get Will Grier. Work with Belichick a little bit, learn from arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. Boom, the dynasty may continue. And last but not least, Darren Lee is on the trade block. Eagles need a middle linebacker, and the Eagles are looking to trade Nelson Aguilar. So I say straight up, Eagles trade Nelson Aguilar to the Jets for Darren Lee. Eagles fill that middle linebacker void, and they can get a receiver in the second round maybe. The Jets get a receiver, and they already have C.J. Mosley, so yeah. But they get another receiver, so they'll have Robbie Anderson, Nelson Aguilar, and Jamison Crowder in the slot. Boom. Jets upgrade their receiving core. It also gives Darnold another weapon, and then the Eagles upgrade their defense and get that replacement for Jordan Hicks. Well, that is it for this episode of Sports News with Kyle Alexander. Let me know in the comments who your favorite, what you think was the best pick here, what you think was the worst pick here, and why. Also, let me know if you agree with some of these picks or not, and also let me know who your favorite team is and who you want them to take and why. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to turn on post notifications. And I will talk to you guys next time.